Hey y'all, and welcome to The Wannabe Author. I'm Taryn, a writer figuring out how to turn my publishing dream into reality, one chaotic step at a time. This is the place where we talk books, writing struggles, mental health, and everything in between. Whether you're a writer, a reader, or just curious about the process, I am so glad you're here. Let's jump in. Hey y'all, my name is Taryn Christine, and welcome back to The Wannabe Author. In today's episode, we get to sit down and talk with a self-published author who has just signed with an agent to take a book she hasn't yet released out onto submission. This author is just an absolute gem in the book community. She's known for her self-published books in fantasy, which is the Deragon Duology. In this episode, she talks about her journey as an author, how she got into self-publishing, what took her to do querying, and what her journey to finding an agent looked like. We get a very sincere, gentle, full of heart experience of her querying journey that I just absolutely fell in love with. As someone who is currently in the query trenches, to hear this hopeful message of hers of how she found her agent, how it just felt so right, and how she trusted her gut and her heart was very inspirational, and I absolutely loved it, and I know you will too. It is my absolute honor to introduce you all to Sydney Applegate. Hi, Sydney. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. My day just got 10 times better because I get to sit and talk with you.
Ooh. I've been waiting for this one.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Okay, before we get diving into you, your journey as an author, I always like to start out with, what are you currently reading?
Okay. I am currently reading, I just finished reading like 3 books at the same time, which I've never done, but it actually kind of worked. But then I'm still reading that I have left. I think I'm like 80% through Out on a Limb by Bonam-Young. I love her. I love her so much. The first book I ever read was actually Out of the Woods.
Okay.
And I know that's like not the right order or whatever. It was still good. But oh my gosh, Out on a Limb is so good. I love it. I already have the 5-star like jitters.
Oh, I love that. That's so fun. I haven't read Hannah Bonam-Young, but I started Out of the Woods. So I think I'm starting with the same book you did. I love it so far. Love it. She's darling.
Yeah, it's so good. And her writing is just heartwarming. Like even in the sad portions of the plot, like you just it feels very kindred in a way.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to describe it. It's like she's sitting crisscross with me on my couch and just like talking about life. So I love it. I think you're gonna love it.
I'm so excited. I need to dive back in. Okay. Oh crap, what am I currently reading? Oh yeah. Okay. I'm reading The New York Charm by Riley Winters. She's a friend.
Yes! Oh my gosh, it was so good.
You read it?
Yeah, I was one of the lucky. I actually don't know how many arcs she sent out, but I got an arc, and so I got to review it. And like I guess one of our mutual friends put me like onto her page, and I started following her, and I was like, I have to read this, and she kindly sent me an arc, and it was so good.
I love that. That's so fun for me. Okay. Yeah, I'm like halfway through, and just, it's comfy, it's cute, I just can't get enough. Love it. Okay. Are you ready to dive into this?
Let's get into it. I'm ready.
Okay. My first question for you is, can you walk us through your author journey? Like where it started? Because you've had some exciting things happen recently. So what took you from beginning to the fun things that have just happened for you?
Okay, I will say it's a long road to get to where we're at right now, but very worthwhile. The first thing, let me think. Technically, the first book I ever wrote, I was in 7th grade. It was 82 pages, and it got swiped at the end of the semester. womp womp. But
Swiped?
not stolen, but at the end of
Oh,
the semester they wipe all the
oh,
laptops clean of everything,
yes.
like they factory reset it, and I
Okay.
didn't know what a flash drive was at the time, so didn't think to save it. But um in high school, all throughout high school and parts of college, I wrote this essentially a dystopian romantasy. And to this day, like I do want to publish it. It needs some serious rewrites because so much time has passed. But while writing that, it was more so a love letter to all of the books that I was reading because I was like, I really like how these books do this, but like I want to put my own touch on it. Um,
Mhm.
and I had journaled and I liked doing that, but my friend at the time was like, "Hey, Scholastic is doing a writing contest. You should enter your book into it." And I did. I did not place, but I was like, I could do this if I have more time. Like, because I think I had a month before submissions were due. It was really, really bad at the but I just loved this story, and then I realized, I just loved writing in addition to reading. I was a reader first, and then
Mhm.
I became a writer. Um, so fast forward to college, um, I queried the book that I'm gonna try and rewrite one of these days. It was not ready for the query trenches, and it was a very brutal experience. I'm telling y'all, if your book is not ready to go into the trenches, don't do it. You're just gonna cause yourself pain. Um, it was so brutal. Um, and after that, I was like, I still want to write and I still want to be an author,
Mhm.
but I don't want to face the query trenches again. I don't think that's for me right now. Maybe eventually because I've done so much research and I do want to be trad published one day. Um, and so I found a collection of short stories that I wrote in high school for a creative writing project. And I was like, okay, I'm going to publish these. I'm going to self publish these and I'm going to learn the indie route of publishing in the
Mhm.
meantime. And so I published that in 2022. And I don't talk about it a lot because it was more so like my trial run to see if I could do this. And eventually I was like, this wasn't so bad. I mean, it's a lot, but I think learning about the indie publishing scene made me into a better writer. And
Mhm.
so when I first got the inspiration for The Fall of Jericho, I was like, oh, this is getting indie published. Um, I'm going to do whatever the heck I want with it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a standalone. It's going to be awesome. And so that's what I did. And I hired an editor, and my editor is like one of my favorite people ever. And again, I was so sure it was going to be a standalone. Like it was just going to be one big chunky. That's why the book is so big. I was like, it's going to be one book, one and done for funsies. My editor basically called me up and was like, listen, you are either going to change that ending because it's despicable in a good way. I loved it. I thought it would be great to end it right there. And my editor was like, no, you're either going to change the ending or you're going to draft a second book. And essentially, I was like, hold my beer. I'm just gonna draft another book because the beauty with indie publishing is there are no rules. There are none.
Mhm.
And so I was like, Miss Editor, I love you. I am not going to bend on this one. I'm just gonna make it into a duology. And so that was back in October. And so I published The Fall of Jericho in February of 2024. And then The Rise of
Okay.
Deragon came out in October. Um, but in between there, last summer, so summer of 2024, in April, I was going through it. It was a very hard time. And I was like, I need something happy. I need something joyous. I need an actual, like, real life palate cleanser. And my romantasies, especially, like, my shirt says, I write romances that double as villain origin stories. And because of that, that writing was very heavy and it was a
Mhm.
lot. And so I was like, I need something breezy. And so over the summer, I wrote Bandcamp. It's a contemporary, rom-com, new adult, nerdy,
Love.
ensemble cast, found family, like, it is like sunshine with some
Yeah.
sadness in there. It's like my attempt at the way Happy Place made me feel, because Happy Place is one of my favorite books ever. With like my personal twist because I'm a band kid at heart, and I was like, it was very nostalgic. It was my
Yeah.
way to escape what was going on in my real life. And I knew pretty early on after I wrote it, I was like, wait, this is different than my romantasy books. Like, I don't think I want to self-publish this. I think it could work in a mainstream market should I prepare for the query churches. And so I basically not hired, but 10 wonderful betas were willing to help me for free. And they read it at the end of the summer and essentially were like, have fun in the churches. I was like, okay, so we're doing this. Um, so I started querying July 31st of 2024, and I received my offer March 7th. So by the time I signed my contract, it was officially like 8 months to
Yeah.
the day that I was in the churches. And so now I'm agented, which is so bizarre because 15-year-old Sydney was like, that was her biggest pipe dream. And
Hmm.
now it's like, oh my gosh, this book is going to go on sub. Like, I have an agent's phone number in my contacts. This is not real. Um, but I loved looking back, I loved that it took me so long to get here because I feel like I'm one of the rare few that has like an indie to trad pipeline, but not in the sense of my indie books got picked up traditionally. It was like
Yeah.
two wholly separate departments in a way. And so I have like a real big love for what I know about the trad scene so far, but also just doing things independently. So yeah, that was the order of events for me. It took a decade, almost a decade. I was going to say if I started writing that book at 15 and I'll be 25 in a couple months, it was almost a decade. So,
Way to go. That is so cool. What an extraordinary journey. And the fact that you're like, I am making this dream come to life no matter what. I just love it. How inspirational. Okay. So, as someone who is in the querying trenches, I'm just have to give you all the congratulations for signing with your agent. That is so fun. You're going to do so great on submission. But regarding the querying process, what was the querying process like for you after already having published your own books? Like, did you bring that up in your query letters at all? Or, I don't know.
so for the first batch, I did.
Okay.
But as I was in the process, I started to focus on, because, typically there's like a short little bio paragraph at the end that you can tell the agent about yourself. And so at first, yeah, I did mention, I was like, I'm the author of a romantasy duology. If they had my website and they had my social medias, they could look it up. So I didn't put in like what book titles they were,
Mm.
especially because I was querying um, something that was not in the genre I had already published in. So eventually on batches like 2, 3, and 4, because I did smaller
Hmm.
batches, I started to phase it out and replace it with, I want to say, like more tangible literary experience. So like I double majored in English and media arts in college. So I put that in there, and then thanks to my local indie, the Plot Twist Book Bar, I love them so much. I got to start teaching like beginner writing courses there for the local community. So I replaced that I was an author, like a self-published author,
Hmm.
and would put that I taught writing courses at my local bookstore. Um,
Yeah.
but I will say some agents that did either request more or offer, um, I could tell that they were looking at my social medias, which, like, that's what social media is for, it's great. So they could see all the other projects I was working on, all the other books that I was marketing and such. Um, and I know for me, there was like I can't confirm if this was like canon or not, but there was a part of me that was always kind of wondering, like, if my book isn't doing as well as they like personally perceive, is that
Mhm.
gonna hurt my chances for them to like really savor my opening pages or my full manuscript or whatever else? So I think I don't want to say that being a self-published author sabotaged at all, which it wouldn't. It shows that I have grit and I can do this. But I think it just helps create that everybody's on the even playing field. Because
Yeah.
you could cold query and be a Amazon best-selling author, or you could cold query and you have no writing experience. Like everybody's even. It's just
Mhm.
what resonates with that agent. So that was kind of most of my experience. I will say I didn't get my first request until about 3 or 4 months in. So I was worried. I was, like, having war flashbacks to the first round of querying that I did. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I really thought it was gonna be different." I didn't expect pull requests to, like, flood me, but I was like, "1 would be
Yeah.
great." It's literally, it was on my Christmas list. I was like, "1 full request, please." Oh, yeah, that was pretty much what it felt like as far as how self-publishing or previously publishing books, how it contributed to the querying process this time
Mhm.
around.
No, I think those are such great points.
Okay. What were you looking for in an agent, and how did you know you found the right one?
Well, when you want an agent and you've been chasing down an agent, like just this general idea of having an agent, when you've been chasing it down for almost a decade, you start to know exactly what you want. And for me, that was somebody who was just as hungry as I was, or even more. And the longer I sat with it, the more I was like, maybe I want to pitch newer agents, like associate agents. I don't want to say lower level because being an agent is like incredibly difficult and challenging.
Mhm.
But someone wanting to cut their teeth in the industry and is really looking to build their client list. Um, so I think that's where I like started. When I first assembled my like list of agents to query, I was specifically like, okay, are there associate agents that are looking for my book or something like it? Um, but as far as like business partner relationship wise, I am very social, to the point where sometimes I can be a little intense for people. So I really wanted someone that would either match my communication style or could handle my communication style. Like I'm not going to spam my agent at 3 in the morning, but like if you're my agent, I'm going to like all your stories. I'm going to like all your posts. I'm probably going to comment on all of them because I support you because you're supporting me. Um,
Mhm.
I wanted to find someone that wouldn't feel like I was aggressively, like, happy, which
Yeah,
sounds kind of silly, but,
not at
I
all.
don't wanna I don't wanna make anybody uncomfortable, but, for me, how I knew I found the right one, because I had a feeling it was my agent. She was the first one to offer, um, and, when you get the offer, it's so exhilarating, you're like, "Of course it's you," but always explore your options, take that 2 weeks, vet everybody. Um, for me, when I started querying, unlike the last time, I really started to, like, pray about it. I was like, "Okay, whatever's gonna happen here is gonna happen. I don't want things to be done in my timing because if I'm in charge of this, I could easily screw this up." So I really gave I really gave this process over to God, and,
Mhm.
I did something dumb. I prayed for patience, and you know what happens when you pray for patience? He decides that you're gonna wait even longer, if not, like, double, that you're wanting to or you feel like you're supposed to, because that's how you get patience. I was seeing all of these stories of people getting out of the trenches in 2 weeks, and I'm just like, "Are you kidding me? It's February, and I'm trying." Um, but one of the things that I really prayed about, because I am so scared of making the wrong decision, like, I really rely on other people's feedback and, their opinions, like, it just really helps me make the most informed decision, and so when I was praying, I was like, "Okay, God, listen up." I ta I talked to him kind of aggressively. I'm not like the, "Oh, dear Jesus." I'm like the, "Okay, white knuckling my steering wheel, listen." And I over and over again, especially once I started getting full requests, I just shut my eyes and I was like, "Okay, here's what's gonna go down. You are going to make it so blatantly obvious to me who it is that I would be an idiot to not see it. Like, Lord, I am mortal, I am dumb. I need you to hit me over the head with how obvious it is this person." And he delivered. I literally had no doubt once my agent offered and I was still weighing my options, I wanted to give the courtesy 2 weeks. I think I actually got 2.5 weeks, because she was traveling at the time, and I just the pieces started falling together. Fun fact, me and my agent have mutuals, and the mutual and I didn't know this until after,
Yeah.
um, like, the mutual is one of my best friends, and so, like, she was able to really give, like, a good character, like, analysis of how she is and how she is communications-wise, and, I had all these questions for my agent, and she was just like, "You can text me anytime." I think I called her 2 or 3 times before I actually signed the contract, like, I wasn't too much for her, um the stars just aligned perfectly.
Yeah.
So that's how I knew. And I know the fun part is she's like, you'd be my first fiction client," because she works with nonfiction authors, but she's like, "I finally got to open a fiction list." And I was like, "Yes, she's hungry. I'm ready." I was like, "Send me that contract." It was perfect. It was absolutely serendipitous, and I just knew it was her. And I hope to all the authors and the wannabe authors out there that because I don't like saying if, when you get your agent offer, if that's something you are pursuing, I hope that you have as much clarity as I got, because it was the exact stress relief I needed after those 8 months of refreshing my emails and wondering if I put a typo in my query and ripping my hair out of my scalp, so
Oh, stop. I love that so much. I love that so much. Like this is our first time talking like face to face kind of, and you're just a darling light. I hope you know that, and you just deserve all the success. Um I think that's beautifully put. Just it felt so right, and yeah, love that experience. Okay, let's get some advice from you. We need all your words of wisdom.
Ooh.
You got this. What advice would you give to self-published authors who are considering making the jump to traditional publishing?
I think I think my biggest piece of advice is to, before you jump into it, because it's such an intense process, really sort out what you are or are not willing to sacrifice to go this route. Because when you're self-publishing, you don't have to sacrifice anything if you don't want to. You can choose how much money you spend to hire freelancers like cover designers or editors or
Mhm.
formatting. you can edit until the cows come home. You can do whatever you want in the indie sphere. When you are traditionally published, however, you are now reporting to an agent. You are working on a deadline. You are allowing the publishers to have, a certain authority over your work. Um, so I think it's important for you to know what you would be willing, I don't want to say to give up, but what are you willing to negotiate on? And what are you willing to trust your agent and your publishing team with? And if the answer is not a lot, I think you have found your home in self-publishing because you don't have to worry about like relinquishing that control. Now, if you're like me, the reason I set out for trad publishing is because I really love the feel of like camaraderie and having a team at my back that's going to, um, keep me well informed, keep me in check, make sure that my work is getting the exact attention and audience that it needs, um, but also giving me the best feedback as a writer. Um, so just knowing what you are willing to part ways with, but also establishing your boundaries. Because, it's so amazing to get an agent offer, but you don't want to sign with the wrong agent. Like, if it's not the right fit for you, do not sign with an agent just to say you're signing with an agent, because I think that will give you more misery in the long run. Um, so I think it's important that you know exactly what you want before you um, jump in.
Very, very good points. Great. Fantastic advice. Now, what would you do differently if you were starting your writing career over from scratch? Would you do the same route that you did, or would you do anything else different?
That is such a good question. I will say that upper YA dystopian romantasy I wrote so long ago, I've been holding on to it for so long because I kind of like when I was writing Bandcamp, I knew, I was like, I have to save this for traditional publishing. Like, I feel like that's its audience. But at the same time, nothing is guaranteed to like stay as I want it if it goes trad long down the road. I intend to write contemporary for a while, so like it's collecting some dust, but like I haven't forgotten about her. So I feel like if anything, I I might have tried to indie publish that series or at least considered it more. I'm glad I didn't though because it wasn't ready. Like with all of the rewrites that I have in my head for it, if I had published it the way it is right now, I don't know if I'd be like over the moon about it.
Yeah.
Whereas like I love it so much because it's just mine.
Yeah.
Like still on, in my Word doc. But I think that might be the only thing. I am so glad that I self-published my Romantasy duology. Especially, there was no way with all of the trad publishing guidelines like word count and genre and everything. Like I'm so glad I knew from the beginning that that was going to go self-pub, because imagine trying to query a 140,000 word romantasy new adult standalone as like that's the first book that would come out like as a debut for a self-published author. Why not? That's what I
Yeah.
did. But as a trad pub, it's just such a harder sell. Um, but otherwise, I really don't think I would change anything. I mean, I had an anticipated contemporary rom-com series of like interconnected standalones, but my agent wants to look at it, and so like I'm halting its release and seeing what happens. But
Yeah.
like maybe I would have published them earlier, like maybe in college, but obviously I didn't have them written. I only have the first book written. So, minimal stuff. Like I guess more time to consider if they would have gone indie or if I would have done rewrites sooner. But
Yeah.
otherwise, like with my duology, I'm really happy with how they turned out. I love them. They're my children. All my books are my children, but I think the direction I'm going in is especially like the transition from like writing as a young adult to writing as an adult.
Mhm.
It makes more sense that I'm going this way now. I feel like my voice is lending more to contemporary at this point in my life, which I think is really cool.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Love that.
How important was community or networking in making the leap from indie to agented? I can't say that word, damn.
Yeah.
Agented. I mean, you kind of touched on it with saying you had a mutual, like one of your best friends was a mutual follower of your agent, correct?
Yeah, so my best friend and my agent used to be coworkers.
Oh.
Yeah. Like I was like, hello? I actually and shout out to my agent because I'm just gonna tell this story because it's so funny when I actually found out and I was like telling her because we both
Mhm.
admitted to like kind of mutually stalking each other, um, like online. I found out what my agent had my full book, but she hadn't offered yet. And she posted a picture because I was following her. I'm shameless. She posted a picture of my local bookstore. And it's very distinct. And
Mhm.
I was shook. I was so shook that I flat out commented. I was like, "Oh my gosh, that is my local indie. The staff is awesome." And I'm in my head, I'm like, "What are you doing here? You live in New York." Because her agency is in New York.
Mhm.
Um, well, my friend saw this comment and she's like, "Oh, that, that's my ex-coworker. She's awesome." And I was like, "Huh?" Like she has my full request right now. And then immediately I was like, "Do not say anything about me to her. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. Don't do it." I was like, "You know nothing. You saw nothing. We did not talk about this." And so I was like, Heather, tell me the story. My friend's name is Heather. I was like, Heather, tell me the story. And Heather was like, yeah, so we worked together. And then eventually she and her partner just like moved. I was like, oh, so like what part of New York do they live in now? Because that's where her agency is. And she was like, um, they didn't move to New York. They live here. And I was like, huh? And so that's when I realized that my now agent is local to me. And so I'm telling you, Lord, bat me over the head and make it obvious because when we finally decided I was going to sign the contract, she was like, "Oh my gosh, this is going to be so cool. We could literally do in-person edit meetings." And I was like, "I'm
Oh.
about to pass out on the floor because I'm such like I'm not a call me on the phone person. I'm like, you better FaceTime me. Like I want to see
Mhm.
your face. I want to look in your eyeballs." And so that was like the absolute like cherry on top. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Um, I will say, as far as like the community, like the online community, because that was so important to me before I became an indie, like before I
Mhm.
self-published. Because when you have to do everything yourself, I mean, it's up to you to like find your readership, find your people. I was very lucky in the sense that before my TikTok became like an author talk, I was already posting stuff, just me and my college roommate dancing in our apartment, or just my take on like viral sounds. And so I had a relatively decent following at the time. But there was one video in particular that I posted about the fall of Jericho, like a year before I released it. Okay, a year.
Okay.
And it went viral. It went viral and I like literally followed almost everybody so I could keep tabs and I kept
Oh.
marketing and then like a month before I released it, I went to all of the comments on that video that were like, "Bring me back when this releases," and I was like, "It's out, it's out, it's out, it's out." Like, I spent days doing this on all of my videos because my networking got traction a year before, I wanted to keep everyone.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
Especially because I knew that there was a sequel coming, but also just on the Bookstagram side, like, everyone is lovely. I have yet to deal knock on wood, I have yet to deal with anybody that's, like, nasty. um, I've seen a couple of, like, negative reviews or, like, negative comments on my stuff, like, unsolicitedly tagging me and stuff, but, like, it just kinda slides right off. I'm just
Yeah.
appreciative that they're taking the time to read it because that means that my marketing and my networking, like, actually did something. It's almost like, "Oh, it wasn't for you, but, like, it got to you." Noted.
That is a way to look at it, girl. That is good.
Well, sometimes you have to.
For sure.
There was an author at, I think, a Polycon this past weekend. And I mean, she's just so snazzy. I like her. I didn't know she existed before this weekend, but she was doing Q&A and they were like, "Oh, like, what do I do about all the negativity?" And she, like, took the mic up and she was like, "Listen, if people pay good money to read your book, they are entitled to hate on it and they could be abusive about it. You just have to stand your ground and know that not everybody's gonna like it, but you liked it enough to make it." I was like, "Period, queen.
Amen.
That is exactly the approach that we are going to take from here
Absolutely.
on."
I love that. I love that. Okay. And you know what? You've been doing so great at the whole networking and social media stuff. Your social media is so fun to follow. You're killing it.
Thank
So
you.
I need the listeners to know if they need an example of social media networking, you're someone I've loved following and seeing you network
Aw.
and do all the things. So you're killing it.
It's me and Canva Pro against the world, babes.
Yeah, I feel that. Okay, now we're on to the more fun, lighthearted, rapid round.
Yay! As if it wasn't already lighthearted.
I know, I think it's been pretty chill. Okay, are there any out-of-pocket genres you would like to try your hand at in writing? And by out-of-pocket, I just mean one you haven't tried yet or one you haven't heard most people writing in. Just out-of-pocket.
Um, that's a good question. I just read Our Infinite Fates by Laura
Mm,
Stevens.
yeah.
So good. I read it for book club. While I don't think it's historical, it feels historical. So, like,
Hmm.
maybe in the future there's a project I can do, like, with some historical elements in there. But out of pocket wise, I briefly started, I think I wrote, like, a prologue. Don't ask me why. I'm low-key a prologue hater for myself, not for other people, but just, like, I feel like I can never write a good prologue. But
Mm-hmm.
I had this idea for, like, and please don't come for me when I say the kind of genre mashups this is. A Oh my god, I can't even take myself seriously. A horror romantasy thriller.
Okay.
Emphasis on horror romance.
I
Um,
love it.
I This past year I recently got into Meg Smitherman. If you've heard anything about her, she is an indie author, but she got picked up by an agent, and her stuff is so niche and so, like, spine tingling. Highly recommend. I
Okay.
read Thrum. It's like a sci-fi horror romance.
That's where I heard someone just recommended Thrum to me, and I couldn't remember where I heard her name from. But yes, Thrum.
Yeah. Thrum, and then she recently released Swallowed. It's, like, super, like, plant earthy, kind of unsettling. And
Oh
I'm
yeah.
not Yes, I am a scaredy cat, okay? Like, I normally I can't do that, especially if it's in movie form, nah. But
Mm-hmm.
something about her writing is just it's immersive in a way that also still leaves me, like, separate, like 1 degree of separation so that I'm not directly affected and like getting the creepy crawlies at night.
Yeah.
So good. So I think it'd be really cool to try writing like a horror romance. I wrote a prologue for it, like for a concept because I love Squid Games. Squid Game? Yeah, so good. I'm absolutely enthralled. But I'm also a huge Rocky Horror stand. Like
Okay.
stand. What the heck?
No, you're good.
Rocky Horror Picture Show fanatic. I love it. And so I had this project idea that combined Rocky Horror and Squid Game, and I was like, let me make it like with like a dash of the Saw franchise. And then I wrote that prologue and I was like, this isn't me right now. I'm a contemporary rom-com girl. I'll come back to you in like maybe 4 years. But
Yeah.
I think that would be my out of pocket if I ever got around to it. But maybe that's not my job. I'm gonna leave that to Meg Smitherman and all the other awesome horror romance authors.
Wait, I love that. You should do it. Just write it for me. And I'll love it. I already know it.
I'll write it for my newsletter subscribers and be like, please
Yes.
don't post this on AO3. Put it on my Substack and just be like,
Yes.
please don't judge me.
This is just for fun.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay. What is your ultimate comfort book or guilty pleasure read?
I was literally thinking about this question all day yesterday because I was like, I have favorites. I'm not much of a book rereader though. Like
Okay.
I've pretty much read every book once. I am debating rereading the Throne of Glass series because I read them as they were coming out. So I haven't read a single Throne of Glass book since before the pandemic. Okay.
Oh.
Same
Okay.
with with ACOTAR and all those books, minus Silver Flames. I read that in 2021 and Sarah's just been gone ever since. It's fine. Whatever. It's not like I'm gnawing on the bars of my enclosure for that book. It's okay.
Bitter?
No, not bitter at all. Take your time, Sarah. Take your time. I will say the one book that I know I have reread in the last year and would probably reread it again is Scythe by Neil Shusterman. It is one of my absolute all-time favorite reads. It is not a comfort read, because it's dystopian. It's got societal commentary. It has moments of darkness, but it is young adult, so I feel like it's a little more subdued.
Okay.
It's got like really good overarching commentary about, and it is fiction, like it's dystopian, so it's not like I'm recommending a hoity-toity nonfiction, but it's a lot more serious than like the fluffy fun books I read now. So I will always recommend anyone and everyone that book. But I will say anything that Taha Mafi writes, I'm reading it. Same with Elsie Silver. I actually just finished an advanced listening copy of Watch Me like 2 hours ago. Yeah. I'm so jealous. She hit. I love Taha Mafi. I really like fantasy that's a little more watered down into like a dystopian type fantasy. I have a hard time with like high fantasy. My brain just doesn't compute that way because up here it's sunshine and rainbows and band camp. So, but I really love her writing, and then I feel like Elsie Silver's got like this awesome formula, and it always hits. It always hits. It's perfect. So I think those are my good like slump busters. That was
a solid list.
Yeah.
Solid. I need to read Scythe. I've heard so many good things. I just haven't gotten around to it, but that's making me bump it up.
I'm gonna speak my truth real quick.
Do it.
That second book. So it's Scythe, Thunderhead, and The Toll. Fun fact, I never finished that last book. I don't know. I lost my copy and then I found it 4 years later. But first book, 5 stars. Doesn't matter which time I've been reading it, amazing. That second book, while I think it's more like a 4.5 star, the ending is more thrilling to me than any Sarah J. Maas book last 100 pages. And that's a hot take, okay? But I mean, it's cinematic. It's like it's like Avengers Endgame level reading. But like everything's crashing and burning, like genuinely crashing
Oh.
and burning. So I'm like, I'm sad. I highly recommend. Highly recommend.
Yeah, you may have just sold me on it, like hardcore sold me on it. I'm very excited.
I think I've been trying to recommend it to my book club every single month. And they're so sick of me. And it never gets enough votes.
If I was a part of your book club, I would vote with you.
Yeah, just us two strong against like 30 other people.
I'll read it and then we'll talk about it.
Deal. I'll hold you to it.
Okay. Do you have a favorite trope to read or write in?
Ooh. Reading, my favorite trope of all time is mutual pining because I feel like it can go across all the genres. So it's not
Absolutely.
genre exclusive. Because I feel like enemies to lovers, you tell me you're writing an enemies to lovers contemporary, and I'm like, listen, if they didn't kill anyone, you're not actually enemies. Can we be real?
Yeah.
Like, you just don't like each other. You're nuisances to lovers. You're nemesis. I don't know.
Yeah.
Mutual pining though. I love mutual pining. Bonus points if it's dual POV because I love seeing how bad a man is emotionally suffering for the woman. I eat it up
Absolutely.
every single time in all of its forms. Writing wise, that's actually tough because I feel like my romanticies versus Bandcamp are so polarizingly different. Because on one hand, you've got a villain narrator, and then the other one, you're like, oh, summer. I literally, oh, it's like I'm Olaf now. Um, I think I will say, I think that writing wise, I will always have a special like pull to friends to lovers. Especially if there was like a falling out and
Yes.
but also, I mean, even if they start as enemies, if they slowly make their way to being unlikely friends and then they fall in love, amazing. Approved. So good. I Friends to lovers is just it's underrated. I think it's because my mom was always like, whenever you want to settle down and get married, be smart because it's always better to marry your best friend than whoever you're like attracted to or in love with. And it honestly makes so much sense because
Yeah.
the chemistry is like way easier to write. And like, of course, it's like you root for them even more, I feel like, if they're friends
Absolutely.
to lovers. So, but there's also the thrill of like, oh, but what happens if they break up? Ooh.
No, for real. There's a lot in stake, or wait, a lot on the line.
Yeah.
I love that and absolutely agree with all of it. Okay. We know that you just signed with your agent, but is there like what's next for you? Any teasers on future projects or like what's it look like that's happening in your near future?
So we just started our first round of revisions for band camp, and oh, I love her. As soon as I got the offer call and I knew I was going to eventually sign with someone, hopefully
Mm-hmm.
her, but someone, and then we did, I was like, I'm going to reread Bandcamp because I haven't read her since before I queried. It'd been 8 months. I was like, I
Yeah.
need to know what I'm about to have to like pick away and edit at. And it was so fun. It was like I was there with them. It was the best. So it really is making revisions easier for me this round.
Good.
Um, I think I've already chipped away quite a bit. So my agent is pretty dead set on that being, like, my debut, even though I do have another finished book and, teaser. I'm 70,000 words through my Dancing with the Stars inspired rom-com that I've been talking about
Yes.
over on TikTok, and I love her. I love her so much. Um, but she's a beast to write because
Yeah.
this is the book that I've had to do the most research on ever. Um, because I'm very first of all, I'm a huge fan of the show. I've been watching it since 2006, but I'm also an ex-dancer, but I'm not a ballroom dancer. So
Okay.
I'm trying to make the visuals as clear and accurate as possible because I know a lot of people when they're reading hockey romances, they're like, "This is not how hockey operates." And I'm just like, I don't want to be that person. Because I think if this book ever gets published, I don't ever want to be like, "Oh my gosh, Derek Huff doesn't agree with this description. I'm just going to go crawl into a hole," you know? But um there's nothing set on that because obviously it's still in its first draft. But
Yeah.
whenever I have, like, any kind of writer's block or I'm just having a shortage on inspiration for that, I have started another project. I think it's more like my it's another for funsy book, just like, why
Yeah.
not? Let's just see
Yeah.
what happens with this. It is YA. I
Okay.
haven't written YA since I myself was a YA.
Mhm.
Um, So it's nice to kind of return to that age. I think because my books are getting fluffier and fluffier, I'm like, let me just go back to high school. Um, but it's very dorky. And again, I think I'm only saying this because I know nothing's set in stone for it, but I'm like,
Yeah.
she exists and I love her.
Yeah.
Um, Bandcamp is obviously like nostalgic to like my days as a band kid and all that, but um,
Mhm.
even more than band, I was a massive choir kid. So it's like a choir kid, young adult romance.
Love.
And it's so fun. Um, that's all I'll say about her because, like, she doesn't have a
Okay.
title. She's got characters. I think I only have like 5,000 words in it, but I mean, it's nice to visit their world in my fictitious high school again. I've got
Heck
plenty of
yeah.
options, but I think if the next book that comes out for me, if I do survive sub, will be Bandcamp. That will be first, and I really hope that's the case because she's one of my favorite books I've ever written. And I feel like I'm cheating when I say that because I think everybody feels that about all of the books they write, but
Mhm.
she is the first book that I've ever written contemporary, ever. Like, I've always written fantasy. This
Yeah.
was my first attempt at something a little more real world, and
Mhm.
I really hope that it, you know, snags an editor and they
Absolutely.
love it the way I do. So, we'll see.
Absolutely. And you know what? I have no doubts that it will. You're going to do amazing on submission, and we are going to see your books everywhere in all stores. I'm so excited. Where, now just to end off, where can listeners find you and your books?
So right now, if you want to find me or my books, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok at author Sydney Applegate, all one word. You can find me on Blue Sky at Books by
Oh.
Sydney. Um, I do have an X profile, but like I rarely use that thing. It's a trash heap over there. I also have a YouTube channel. Um, I
Why
don't
didn't I know this?
well, I don't use it very frequently, but
Okay.
like I I used to do booktube stuff. Like, I secretly want to do more if my job starts to alleviate. So in case I do more stuff with that, that's also Books by Sydney. Let me think. And then as far as my books, you can find me on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, um, Kindle Unlimited. So my KU girlies, I got you. But you can also, if you want signed copies, you can go find me on my website, sydneyapplegate.com. And teaser, I am debating and investigating doing special editions. So maybe keep an eye on my website. I'm also on Substack. Subscribe to my Substack newsletter. Subscribe to my newsletter, please. I love to ramble. I love to yap.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. And as somebody who is a avid consumer of all your social medias, I recommend everybody go and subscribe and do all the things. You will find me on your website purchasing books as soon as we are done with this, and finding you on YouTube. So, thank you so much for talking with me, Sydney, today. Like, you seriously, that was just a wealth of inspiration in your journey and how you've just, navigated the whole industry on both sides of the spectrum. I'm so excited. You're going to kill it out in the traditional publishing industry. You're amazing. Thank you again for being here.
Thank you for having me. You were so sweet.
Of course. Well, I'd love to chat with you more, but we're going to go ahead and close out with the listeners. Thanks, y'all, for listening. We love ya, and we'll see you next Thursday. Bye.